There's a quiet language in how people present themselves. Most of it goes unnoticed, but it's always being read, not consciously, but instinctively. And this is where it becomes interesting, because what often reads as cheap isn't about money, it's about signaling. Small, subtle choices that reveal urgency, insecurity, or excess, even when the price tag suggests otherwise. But here's the deeper layer. Cheap signals aren't loud mistakes. They're usually well-intentioned. They come from trying just slightly too hard. 1. Over-explanation. One of the most common cheap signals is the need to explain. Explaining what something cost, where it's from, why it matters. Not always directly, sometimes it's implied. Dropping brand names into conversation, mentioning rarity, justifying purchases. It creates a kind of noise. And refinement rarely needs noise. True taste is self-evident. It doesn't require narration. This is not really about silence. It's about confidence. Because when something is well chosen, it stands on its own. 2. Visible effort. Effort is necessary. But visible effort is something else entirely. Perfectly styled hair that doesn't move. Outfits that feel overly assembled. Spaces that look staged rather than lived in. There's a certain tension in it. And people can feel it, even if they can't name it. The real distinction is quieter than that. Refinement often looks slightly undone, not careless, but unforced. A silk shirt with a soft crease, hair that moves naturally, a room that feels used, not displayed. Because ease suggests familiarity, and familiarity suggests ownership. 3. Excess detail. More is often mistaken for better. More jewelry. More layers. More visible design elements. But this is where many people get it wrong. Excess doesn't communicate luxury. It communicates uncertainty. When everything is emphasized, nothing is. A single, well-made piece carries more presence than 5 competing ones. And this is where taste begins to matter. Because restraint requires decision-making, it requires saying no. 4. Logo dependency. Logos are one of the clearest signals, and also the most misunderstood. They're often used as shortcuts, a way to communicate value quickly. But the reliance itself becomes the signal. It suggests that the item needs validation, that its worth isn't fully trusted without being labeled. Quiet luxury doesn't remove branding entirely. It simply stops depending on it. Because recognition, when it exists, is subtle, and when it doesn't need to. 5. Inconsistency. This one is rarely discussed, but it's one of the most revealing. Expensive items paired with careless ones. Beautiful spaces disrupted by overlooked details. Polished outfits with one distracting element. Inconsistency creates visual friction, and friction breaks the illusion of refinement. It's not about perfection, it's about cohesion. Everything doesn't need to match, but it needs to belong. 6. Speed. There's a certain pace to how things are chosen, worn, and presented. And speed often works against refinement. Impulse purchases, rapid trend adoption, constant updating. It creates a sense of instability. But considered choices feel different. They feel settled because they weren't rushed. And this is where it becomes interesting. Slowness in itself becomes a signal. It suggests patience, discernment, control. 7. emotional reactivity. This is perhaps the most subtle and the most powerful. Reacting quickly, speaking impulsively, shifting energy to match the room. It creates a kind of unpredictability, and unpredictability rarely feels refined. Composure, on the other hand, changes everything. Measured responses, calm presence, stillness in conversation. These are not personality traits. They're decisions, and they communicate more than appearance ever could. Cheap signals are not about budget. They're about energy, about how something is chosen, how it's worn, how it's carried, and most of all, how much it's trying to prove. Because the irony is simple. The more something tries to look expensive, the less convincing it becomes. And the more effortless something feels, the more believable it is. Refinement doesn't announce itself. It's recognized. Quietly. If you've been craving a calmer, more considered way of living, you're in the right place. And maybe the question isn't how to look refined, but why the need to signal anything at all? Because signaling, at its core, comes from perception, from being seen, measured, interpreted. And most people never question that loop. They just optimize for it. But there's a different approach, one that isn't built on impression, but on alignment, where what you choose, what you wear, how you speak, isn't designed to communicate something. It's simply a reflection of what's already settled within you. No urgency, no performance, no excess. And when that shift happens, something interesting follows. You stop asking, how does this look? And start asking, does this feel like me? And that question quietly removes almost every cheap signal there is.